Hey all, Jim Hughes here. I just got off a client call and I don't know what inspired me to just press record on this. I think it was the idea that the kind of thing that we discussed on this call is something that I hear so often, and it's a challenge that so many of my clients face and people who may be watching this also face. And I just want to share it because it may help. It may help make sense of a few feelings or challenges or frustrations that you may be having in your life or your work. So what I talked with him about was he started the call when I was saying, okay, well, tell me what are you feeling? What's currently challenging you? Where's your head at the moment? He kept talking about this sort of this pressure that was building up, this imaginary ticking clock. And he could barely even put it to words. He wasn't sure what the clock was ticking towards. He kept saying time was running out, and he couldn't explain why, like what time was running out. I mean, this is a guy in his late 20s, so it's not an end of life kind of ticking clock, and he wasn't sure. And we dug into where this pressure came from and what might be the sort of the source of it, and we got to the bottom of understanding that there is a side of him that has always been keen to hold him back, that didn't believe he was capable of success, quote unquote, and as a result had a narrative around that, and therefore, like we often do when we have a narrative around that, we try and reinforce that narrative at all times. So there's this narrative that he wasn't capable of success, that he didn't deserve it, and this side of his personality was holding him back from that. And to set the scene, he'd been living all around the world for most of his life. He'd never been in one spot for more than 2 or 3 years. And now he's actually settled. And not only is he's settled in a place where he knows his business can thrive. He knows he's surrounded by his most favorite people, the people that inspire him with similar values. He also knows that it was his choice to live there. In the past, he'd been moved around because of family or relationships, but this time it was all on him. And when we discovered that, that's where the penny just dropped. We discovered that this ticking time clock was this side of him going, okay, mate, you now have everything that you know you need to succeed. When's it going to happen? Why hasn't it happened yet? Why haven't you been paid as much as you want to be paid? When's that big gig going to land? When are you going to be as good as the people you claim to want to be on Instagram? Do you even know who you claim to want to be? And that voice was just building up and building up and building up. Now, when he was living around in all those other places that weren't him and were misaligned, he had an excuse as to why he wasn't successful. But he'd overcome that and he'd moved to this place. Now he had no excuses left. And that's where the pressure came on. So I suppose the question for you might be, do you have that kind of voice that's been holding you back? And if so, what would happen if you overcame those obstacles? What would happen if you moved to that dream place, or you took that dream job, or you married that dream girl or boy? What would that pressure sound like? Would it build up in you as well? And what would be the purpose of it? Because in this guy's case, it's meaningless, it's arbitrary, and it's just to reinforce a narrative that's not even serving him anyway. So take from that what you will. I hope it was valuable, and I hope you're all having a wonderful day wherever you are.